Morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition here of Most of the Metal. Hope you're all doing well out there and got your toilet paper and all that. Why people are buying toilet paper, not food, it's beyond me. But I'm here in the background, turn this up a little bit, is Sleep. Sleep's Holy Mountain. This is a band that's very doomy, sludgy, Sabbathy. By the back, you can kind of get where they're coming from there with weed smoking and the slow plodding rhythms. I had this CD when it first came out on Earache in '92. And then around 92, I think I was 18, 19 years old, heavily into thrash, Metallica. I was starting to get into death metal, as Earache released a lot of death metal. And I bought this thinking it was going to be death metal. I didn't really know what Doom was at the time. I mean, I knew what Black Sabbath was, but I didn't really know much beyond that. So I bought this CD and immediately thought it was trash and turned right back around and sold it to the store that I bought it from. I've grown to appreciate it, this type of music over the years, Sleep in general. This was the last album they put out before they broke up. They reformed in 2018, as many of you probably know, with the Sciences. Great album. They just had their final shows in Chicago, I believe. Final. I mean, who knows? Hiatus, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I didn't like this when it came out, when it was on Earache. And I thought, wow, Earache puts out a lot of great death metal. I'm going to buy this, just because at the time I had no internet or anything, so I didn't know what it sounded like. So everything comes full circle. This is a reissue from 2015. It's like a maroonish see-through vinyl. This is the inner sleeve. That's Matt Pike right there. He looks a lot different now, obviously, because many of us have over 30-some years. The other side just has some lyrics. Nothing mind-blowing here. So, yeah, good album. If you haven't picked it up and you're a Doom fan, Matt Pike is also does the Manual High on Fire. He's the leader of that band. They put out, I think, more albums than Sleep ever did, actually, and they're still touring, I believe. So check them out. Next up was an album I had playing in the background in another video. This is Today Is the Day with No Good to Anyone. And I mentioned in my other video, Steve Austin, leader of the band, signed it. You might still be able to get a copy. It's the back. I'm kind of weird, nerdish. If there's like a promo sticker on it or something, I try to keep the shrink on it, as well as to help kind of protect the actual cover. You know, if I get old someday and have to sell my collection, I want it to be in the best shape possible. But this is a gold vinyl with some green and red splatter, which I couldn't show in my last video. Kind of cool looking, kind of weird. Kind of matches the cover, I guess, which is why try to get the colors to blend, which is cool. By the way, the cover was done by Jeff Whitehead. You may know him as, I believe it's Rest, W-R-E-S-T, from Leviathan. He's a tattoo artist. He did the cover. This is probably the most fun I've had listening to a Today Is the Day record in many years. I've liked them off and on. Some albums, there's been a few songs I like, and the rest just didn't quite gel with me. But this album is varied, drastically more varied than any Today Is the Day release, I would say, in 10 to 15 years. It's got some bluesy type stuff. It's got real heavy stuff. It's got some just interludes. It's got super heavy stuff. The lyrical theme's pretty heavy. If you don't know what happened with the title, and Steve Austin, he, if I remember right, ended up with Lyme disease, and that kind of put him down for a while. And then he ended up having a back issue, if I remember right, and had to have some surgeries done. And he was pretty much laid up with no way to take care of himself. And hence the title, No Good to Anyone. So it kind of feels like the album starts with him being kind of depressed and upset on where he is at the time, and then you can kind of see his progression into getting better. So it's kind of cool to see how that unfolds. But yeah, he had to have people take care of his wife, and you just kind of, you know, you're just kind of existing. You're just laying there like, I'm no good to anyone. What am I? I'm not producing anything, especially being an artist. I'm not creating anything. I can't play guitar. I can't do X, Y, Z. So that was that. Good stuff. I'm probably going to be in the top 40 lists of people, I hope. We'll see what the year brings. But next up, this is a split that I got from Bindrune. I can never remember how it's pronounced, but this is a split from Panopticon, and I never know how to pronounce the name. Nechochwen, I think it is. Pretty cool cover. This is like obviously a campfire. I'm not sure the significance of these two symbols. I'd have to do some research on that. This is the back. Pretty cool. The insert, the vinyl caught my attention first because if you look at the labels, it's cool looking vinyl too. It's like a orange red. But if you look at the Panopticon label side, you see like a little. See how close I can get without making it too weird. But that's the singer's, I think his name's Adam. Is it Adam Lund? Aaron Run, I can't remember, but that's his son on the label. And I thought, oh, that's kind of weird. These guys are kind of like a black metal. Both bands are kind of black metal in a way, folky black metal. So, I didn't understand the significance when I put the record on, and I finally got around to pulling out the inner sleeve, if I can get it out of here. And there's a story here on his side about his son, but he was on the label of the album, and he was born with some rare heart condition and had all kinds of like irregular valves, and his aorta was restricted. And so it's the song is dedicated to his wife, he says in here, but his kid had to go through a ton of surgeries. You know, his kid's laying there with all these tubes coming out of him, and he said he just felt kind of helpless. And the culmination of all that ended up being this one. I think it's a 20-minute song called Rune's Heart. Rune is his son's name, so it's a pretty cool story. I think a lot of times black metal gets a bad rap for just being about Satan and death and destruction, and that's really not always the case. We like that stuff too, but sometimes it's just a release for people. So, and then on the other side, Nechochwen, a few of these songs came from, I believe, there was a book of short stories, pioneer stories and Indian stories from Eastern Ohio that one of these guys got from their uncle, and so it's kind of dedicated to those stories. So there's this pretty deep release, and something you want to sit down, you want to buy and get the liner notes and kind of listen to and follow along with the lyrics. There's some deeper meaning with this one than just, like I said, death and destruction and mayhem. No pun intended with the mayhem reference there, but yeah, this is a good release. I want to say Rune's Heart, the Nechochwen. It's typical Nechochwen. Got some sung vocals mixed in with some folky stuff and some heavy riffage. Good stuff. I want to say Rune's Heart, a 20-minute song. I'm usually not a huge fan, but this song doesn't feel like 20 minutes at all. It might be one of the more focused songs that Panopticon's released in a while. It takes a few spins to get into it, but I think understanding the subject matter and whatnot helps. So check that out. Next up, we have, take it out of the plastic first. This is Raspberry Bulbs with Before the Age of Mirrors. And what I kind of like about this, you can kind of see with the light shining out, there's a cool little background here on the cover and on the back. And if you just look at it without any light on it, it just looks like a black and pink album, but you can see some cool stuff there in the middle. Now, these guys are from Brooklyn, New York. A couple of the guys, or at least two of them, I think, they are in Bone Owl, AWL, and Rorschach, hardcore type bands, I believe. I got the pink and clear black splatter vinyl. Very cool looking. These guys are kind of noise rock, which is going to tie into the next two releases. To me, this came out in 2020. This is what noise rock has become. To me, if you don't know what noise rock is, I'm still learning myself. It's kind of a genre that I've never tapped into for the most part, but it's very rhythm driven, very bass and drum heavy. The guitars kind of take a somewhat of a back seat to the song in the songs, but they're there. It's just more plotting type rhythm music, and the vocals are not like death metal vocals. They're more, I don't want to say screamed, or just kind of yelled or talked. Like if I was yelling at somebody in a higher voice. That's my interpretation so far. And the sound on this one though is very lo-fi. So if you're a fan of black metal and you like that sound of people just recording to a 4-track and putting it to tape, that's what this is. I think I saw a description that I couldn't put it any other way or any better. It was Black Flag. Black Flag had discovered black metal and decided, hey, we want to be Black Flag, but we want to record our album like the early black metal cassette days. That's what it sounds like. Very melodic, I would say. There's 12 songs on here. There's about 8 of them that I really enjoy. It takes a few spins to get into, but it's good stuff. So check out Raspberry Bulbs. That's on Relapse, by the way, which is this is the limited edition version. But there's, I think, plenty more out there for sale if you want one. And the last two I'm going to talk about today are on Touch and Go. So speaking of noise rock, we're just going to talk about both these at the same time. It's a band called the Jesus Lizard, Goat, and Liar. I did some research and was told these are 2 albums to get by the Jesus Lizard. So if you have other opinions, let me know. These are not originals. These are reissues. There's the inside on Goat. And there's a little booklet. I haven't read everything on this shit, but it kind of gives a story about the band, some old photos and whatnot. What caught my attention on this one, though, was whoever wrote this, Jason Pettigrew, in 2009, wrote about a show that they played in Pennsylvania, I believe. No. Pittsburgh. Yeah, Pennsylvania. And so David Yao gets on stage. He's the singer in some shitty DJ club. He said, so let's get this stuff straight right now. First of all, turn the shitty music off to the club DJ, which he immediately did. Second, turn down the lights. I've got a fucking headache. He allegedly came on stage with a beer in his hand and a microphone. And there was smoke machines coming up and blowing smoke up. And he's like, turn these fucking smoke machines off. And then they just jumped right into their songs, and Yao jumped into the crowd. And based on my research, it feels like he's was kind of a G.G. Allen-esque without all of the debauchery, so to speak. Those of you that know who G.G. Allen is know what I'm talking about. They just didn't give a fuck and played on stage wherever they were welcome. They didn't care if it was a shitty club or a bigger club. They did gain some more notoriety in the early 90s when Nirvana got popular. And the tie into that is that these albums were recorded in Chicago, I believe, by Steve Albini, who worked on the Nevermind album from Nirvana. So if you don't know anything about labels, what they'll do is when one label happens to catch on to a Nirvana, if you don't know the story, all the major labels just went and flocked to Seattle to try to sign, oh God, there's got to be another band here like Nirvana. And at some point, even though Jesus Lizard weren't from Seattle, they got signed to a major label. And I think the major label tried to, I believe it was Capitol Records, tried to form them into some kind of a Nirvana-ish band. I think that they even did a split with Nirvana at one point, but they never quite caught on. They're more, I think the label may have made a mistake thinking that the Jesus Lizard was just another alternative band they could make some money off of. And didn't quite work out that way. Jesus Lizard was more abrasive, not as poppy and syrupy. You weren't going to hear Jesus Lizard on the radio. But the album, my favorite so far is Liar. It's very melodic, just in a different way. I mean, Boilermaker, Gladiator, and The Art of Self-Defense are the first 3 songs on this, and it's a 1-2-3 punch, unlike any I've heard in a while. So I'm going to recommend getting Liar first if you want to explore noise rock. I'm doing research on noise rock on the internet, and I'm just going to start going down a rabbit hole. So I'll probably pick up some more stuff and share with you. If you have recommendations on noise rock bands, let me know, and I may do some picking up of some stuff on the internet. That's pretty much it for this edition. I'm out of vinyl right now, new vinyl. I might start digging into either my current collection that I haven't shared hardly with anyone. I think all my videos have been new stuff I've been buying, but I got a whole bunch of CDs here that I haven't got through yet. So there is some rap in here, some black metal, some thrash metal, black metal, some I don't even remember what it is. So I will be digging through all that stuff soon, and I will share everything with you all. I might start doing what many other YouTubers do too, is they start going through their collection from like A to Z. You see, I got a CD case back here. This is 4 sides, and then down behind it I got another whole section of CDs. You can see this vinyl section right here. This is all filled with vinyl. And then what you can't see is on the sides, I've got 2 other things of vinyl here. And where my record player is, if you want to take a gander, this is all filled with vinyl as well. So you can see my whole office is filled with music type stuff. So I got a lot to talk about in the coming years. So that said, I don't know if coronavirus is hype or not, but stay safe out there. And I will catch you all next time.